Russian occupiers announced a fake seizure of the city of Chasiv Yar for the sake of vacations and awards. This opinion was expressed on air by military observer Denis Popovich on Channel 24. According to him, the occupiers often claim to have seized this or that Ukrainian settlement, although this is not the case. They do this for the sake of awards and vacations. Popovich emphasized that Russian occupiers usually become active in the area of a populated area, the alleged capture of which they reported to their command. They are trying to somehow justify themselves to the command. On July the 31st, 2025, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation announced the capture of the city of Chasov Yar. In fact, this information is not true, since fierce fighting continues in this settlement. The statement of the Russian Ministry of Defense was immediately denied by the Khortytsia command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. It should be noted that the battles for Chasiv Yar have been going on for about a year now. The Ukrainian army forces are holding the city because it is very important for defense. If Russian troops capture Chasiv Yar, they will be able to advance further on Konstantinovka. The northeastern outskirts of Konstantinovka are about 6 to 8 kilometers from there. According to the Institute for the Study of War, if Russian troops completely capture Chasiv Yar, they will also be able to attack across the fields in the direction of Druzhkovka. Recall Russian publics write that the city was captured by units of the 98th Airborne Division. Since late January 2025, Russian forces have been within barrel artillery range of Ukraine's main logistics route through the fortress belt and have held positions along the T-0504 Bakhmut-Konstantinovka highway for several months, but have not yet posed a serious threat to Ukrainian positions in Konstantinovka. ISW has not yet seen geolocated footage of Russian forces operating on the western outskirts of Chasov Yar, and to complete the capture of the city, Russian forces will have to dislodge Ukrainian forces from their positions on the outskirts. It took Russian troops 26 months to advance 11 kilometers from the western border of Bakhmut, which Russian troops captured in May 2023. Putin's army began active efforts to capture Chasov Yar in April 2024 after slowly advancing to the eastern outskirts of the town and capturing Ivanovka between May 2023 and March 2024. This possibility is not excluded. In addition, media reported that the occupiers are advancing on Pokrovsk with small groups of infantry. In the Kharkiv region, Russian occupation forces continue their efforts to seize the city of Vovchansk, attempting to outflank it from both the western and eastern approaches. This was reported on Ukrainian television by Pavlo Shamshin, spokesperson for the Kharkiv Operational and Strategic Group of Forces, according to Ukrinform. Unable to achieve success within Vovchansk itself, Russian troops are trying to bypass the city. On the western flank, they are advancing through Hatishchi. On the eastern side, they are pushing through Taik and Vovchansky Kutori in an effort to encircle the city, Shamshin said. Despite these maneuvers, Shamshin emphasized that Vovchansk, while important, is not considered a strategic objective by the enemy. Vovchansk is certainly a significant target, but not a strategic one, even for the Russians. There are military distinctions between strategic, tactical, and operational objectives. When Russia launched its renowned offensive in the Kharkiv region last May to establish a so-called buffer zone, Vovchansk became their primary focus. Yet, despite entering the city in the early days of that offensive, they have failed to capture it after more than a year of intense fighting, he explained. According to him, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are also holding positions on the northern bank of the Vovcha River, closer to the state border with Russia. Our units are positioned on the northern bank of the Vovcha River, near the border with the Russian Federation, and maintain control over a section of the aggregate plant's territory. The enemy continues to launch attacks both day and night. Russian assault infantry are attempting to infiltrate the plant and are making every effort to push our forces beyond the natural barrier of the Vovcha River to the southern bank, but they are failing, Shamshin assured. The Ukrainian army also launches new counterattacks here. Recall drone operators and mortar gunners from the Scorpion unit of the Heart Brigade of the State Border Guard Service near Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region destroyed an excavator, an MT-12 Rapira cannon along with an armored personnel carrier, a warehouse with engineering equipment, a Russian vehicle, and neutralized 6 invaders. The Russians are trying to gain a foothold in the Vovchansk direction. However, any attempts by the enemy to build new fortifications or deliver new weapons to their positions are recorded by aerial reconnaissance, the State Border Service of Ukraine noted. Drone operators and mortar gunners from the Scorpion unit hit an excavator, an MT-12 Rapira cannon along with the armored personnel carrier that was towing it, a warehouse with engineering equipment, and the vehicle used to transport personnel while performing fire missions. 6 occupiers were neutralized, the report said. A powerful 8.7 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky could have serious consequences for key Russian military facilities, including nuclear and diesel submarine bases in Avacha Bay. This was reported by a military analyst and founder of the Frontelligence Insight Project, a former Ukrainian officer under the nickname Tatarigami_UA, citing open satellite data and his own analysis. The epicenter of the earthquake was located approximately 100 kilometers from Avacha Bay, the main base of the Russian Pacific Fleet. According to Tatarigami, the impact was so strong that damage from tremors and tsunamis has already been recorded in the city. There are 3 key sites on the coast. 1. Northeastern Repair Center. Services both diesel and nuclear submarines. 2. The submarine base in Rybache is the permanent location of combat units of the Pacific Fleet. 3. The berth for loading ballistic missiles is designed for arming strategic submarines. A satellite image taken about 2 weeks before the quake shows 6 nuclear submarines at a Russian base near Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, just 100 kilometers from the quake's epicenter. The submarines include 3 Oscar-class submarines, 1 Akula-class submarine, 1 Borai-class submarine, and 1 Delta-class submarine. The entire military infrastructure is located right on the coastline at the height of only 3 to 6 meters above sea level. If the tsunami waves exceeded 3 meters, which is quite possible with an earthquake of such strength, the equipment and machinery could have been seriously damaged. Tatarigami specifies that as of July the 17th, according to high-definition satellite images, there were 5 submarines moored at the base. In later images from July the 20th, at least 3 submarines can be clearly distinguished. The location of 2 more is marked, but their exact status is unknown. More images are expected to be received, which will allow for a preliminary analysis of the damage. The expert promised to publish updates in the coming days. If the infrastructure was indeed damaged, Russia could face the temporary incapacitation of part of its nuclear naval triad in the Far East, which is critical against the backdrop of current international tensions and the war against Ukraine.